Hey, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Derek Invest, the Market Mentality. I am here with Kenny Coinz of Marathon Money yet again. And today we are going to give you each two new stocks that we think are going to blow up in the next 2 to 3 months. And we're going to probably talk about a couple of long-term plays too. Let's kick it off by talking about one of my biggest winners of the year. Any of you that missed it, it was a mistake. ARM, ARM. We rode that short from 155 down to $90. We have taken it back up to 150. We're sitting at 135 now. I'm going to tell you the next move on ARM. Kenny, what do we got?
Man, I made quite a bit of money. As you guys know, I told you guys about Doug. If you guys listen to Marathon Money, I told you guys about Doug at $1. It's at 266. I think it's at like 255 now. I think it's going to $15. So if you guys made that money, you made over 120%. If you guys listen to me, I told you guys, look, Supermicrocomputers is at the bottom at 17.95, $18. Pick it up. Whoever picked it up, listen to me. Those Marathon Money Plus that paid for the subscription that listened to me. And right now they're sitting at 35, $36. I think it's going back to 50. You know, I mean, they fixed their auditing. They get that fixed. If they fix their corporate structure, this is going to be $150 stock. But right now we're already up 120%. I know by next week, if the momentum keeps going, we're going to see 40, $45. You know what I mean, you already see a major rise. So
Let me ask you,
with that,
Kenny, is this a dead cat bounce on super microcomputers, or do you think that the company is actually solid? Like, where you like? I know where you're
we
getting the
we
50
we
from,
don't
but what's the reason?
we don't know if the company's solid. We
All right,
know that they have 100. We know they have 180-day extension to not get
right,
delisted. We know that. That means they're trying. That's
cool.
one. That's enough for the stock to bounce and double from 17.95 to $35. 36. I think the highest point was 38.
I
That
think it's
means they're
right.
trying. Yeah. So if they're trying, that means that they're actually trying. They got a new auditor. They got an independent auditor, one of the biggest companies globally to come and audit their stuff. So that means that they're willing to put themselves on the line. The CEO is going out, they're speaking, they're trying to bring the company back. So the main reason why I'm saying there's a great chance that there is a opportunity in a short amount of window the next 2 months to make more money off super microcomputer because this thing could touch 60. I'm not saying it's going to touch 100, 120, 150 yet.
Yeah.
If the auditing come back before the 180 days, they give their 10K, they do the 8K, they do all their filings. If they all come back and it's good and they can do it before time, don't be surprised if you see this at 150, $200.
I would, it's funny. I would agree with you. I think it's absolutely possible. I was poo-pooing super microcomputers a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I'll be the first to admit it. I said I'm not touching the thing because when it came out that they were going to get delisted, and then they said, "Hey, we can't meet your deadline." This was prior to them getting their extension. I was like, dude, this is Enron. I'm out. And the way everybody was selling it and the way institutional money was selling it, I got away from it. And I happen to also think that Nvidia is so pumped up that I'm like, if Nvidia's stock price falls, you don't know because they're their major supplier, right? So you don't know if they're going to keep purchasing if Nvidia were to get into trouble. So I avoided. You called it, Kenny. I had that. I had it dead wrong. Everybody that asked me, I said, don't do it. Don't buy that position. It's deadly, and it's up over 100%. I missed the boat on that one. So not good work, good job, man. I mean, I totally I stayed away from that thing. I looked at a bunch of other factors. I'm like, oh, the market. Yeah, I got in my head, which you should never do. The fact of the matter is, it got priced to be delisted. They got an extension, and you knew right there. You were smart enough to know. With that extension, the market has to price back in the fact that they might make it. Like they might be fine.
Yeah, like working at Goldman is like patient is kind of was always my biggest game, being a trader.
Yeah.
So a lot of time is everybody rush to information that is not even fully vetted yet. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I
Because
did it.
everybody wants to be the first to get in or the first to get out. So people take a lot of chance, and comes back to a conversation we had like 2 weeks ago. Um, people will rush to the table because they want to be there early, but the food is actually not on the table yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you
I
don't
do.
even know what you're really being served. So you pay the $120, right? Let's say a stock costs $120. Now you're at the table early. You're telling everybody, oh, this stock is going to go to $500-$600. And you don't really have a legitimate reason to be there. So you get in early, right? And
Right.
when it does come, the stock only goes to 130. And you was like, oh man, that's only like $10 in profit extra on each share I bought. And you're just like, I didn't make no money. I got here too early. And sometimes getting there too early actually hurts you. Definitely if you're paying options, you're doing derivatives, you're buying contracts, those hurt you. Now, if you buy the stock, you get hurt less. But if the price goes down, because now you're early, and more likely the price is going to go down because number one, momentum's not there. Number two, investors are like, I don't want to spend a year or 2 years in a company that's not moving.
Right.
You know what I mean? At least let me make 8-10%. If you don't even make that, let me put my money elsewhere where they're actually moving. The stock has volume and legitimacy of moving this year. They're doing something.
Yep.
The opposite way is leaving a stock and getting out of a stock when you hear a streak of bad news. It's almost nearly impossible for any company to not have a bad period, to not have bad news come out. Because even if you think about yourself, you might be financially straight one year, and I don't care how wealthy you are.
Yep.
You might be financially straight 2022, 2023, and 2024 comes up, boom. You're making 30-40% less money than you made. The
Huh,
stuff that you
I have
used to do, you
experience
can't
bigger
do.
than that.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Everybody goes through it. There's not from billionaires to millionaires to average Joes. Everybody goes through it. And it's the same thing with super microcomputers. Is we need to wait until the nail's in the coffin.
Right.
The nail is not in the coffin yet. It's
Right.
not really in the coffin, and they're making opportunities and they're creating opportunities for them to be revived. And I have a feeling this is going to be a stock that is going to be, you guys took information, we took what EY did and left, and we have no clue why they left. We just all made an assumption. And a lot of, and I'm not saying Heisenberg is wrong. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is maybe they didn't give out all the information they need to, and EAY probably left for another reason.
It was weird. The way they left was weird. I will admit that, like, they just said, we're not sure. They didn't say we can't trust the information they provided, but everyone sort of insinuated that. They were like, oh, they don't trust the information they were given. But it never really said that, They just said, look, we're out. We're not doing this. And I think, and even me, like, that was enough. I go, oh, all right. So they're bailing, right? So I was like, well, okay, I'm going to trust these guys. And in the end, I mean, look, the stock got hit, obviously. Like, I mean, it went from, I don't know what the high is, 120, 140, 160. It was something astronomical a year ago. And it fell to 17, right? But it was down at 17 for the very reason that everybody's going, oh, they cooked their book. Like, even I said, I use the exact phrase, they cooked their books. I go, oh, they cooked their books. And now what the market's pricing in is, yeah, they might not have it all. We actually have no idea why they left. So yeah, man, that was a good call. I have nothing but, like, I praise you. Like, that's great. I was one of the guys who was like, I'm out of there. I just don't touch it. I mean, for me though, I will say this, like, even though I wasn't right, and I have no problem. I mean, when you work in the market, you're not right a lot. It didn't cost me money. I didn't tell anybody to get short. I would never do that. If you go from 120 to 17, 18, you're never going to hear me tell somebody to go short. I would never do that. For me, I looked at it from a risk perspective. I said, what is there a lot of risk here, a little risk, or medium risk? And to me, I'm like, dude, this looks like a monstrous amount of risk. And I'm like, why take that? Like, I can go elsewhere and do better, right? Like, so that's the way I viewed it. But you hate to miss that stuff, man, especially when it's like 100 and 120, 150% in 2 weeks. You're like, ugh. So I definitely, like, I feel like I feel stupid. But I look back, I go, would I have done it differently? And with my personality, with the type of trader I am, I wouldn't. I would do that 100 times over. It's the same. We remember when we were talking about
Yeah.
Peloton, Kenny, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like looking at 2750, and I lit. Now that was one company. I did say it. It went from 110, 120, and it's down to 2750. And there was 33 analysts on Wall Street rating it a buy, and I was like, short that thing to $5, and it's at like $3.17 now. Like, so like I guess there are times where I'll do that, but not with super microcomputers because what they do is real, and who they sell to is the monster. So it's like
It's because they sell to multiple monsters actually, and
yeah,
then people don't understand. Even if they're, I don't think they're cooking the books. I actually think they're actually pushing these products because Nvidia, Apple, and all of them, they back them. They actually back them, so
yep,
they're actually selling their products to them. Now, maybe the way they structure certain things, maybe the way they relationship between Supermicrocomputer and EY accounting. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
You know, I don't have much to say about EY accounting. Like obviously I have worked with them in the past. Um, do I think they're great? I don't know, but there are the fourth largest accounting firm in the
Right.
world.
Yep.
So they're not a small behemoth. They got one of the biggest again. So but to move on to, and then one thing I do want to say about Peloton is like 4 years ago when the pandemic happened, everybody was buying the bikes. And I can, you probably go look, it's probably on Marathon Money episode like in the 200s. And me and Cam said, don't buy Peloton. It's literally, it's gonna be a bloodbath because everybody's buying those bikes because of one thing only: the gym is closed.
Yep.
If people weren't buying it before the gym was closed, then people are not going to buy it after this whole thing is over because the pandemic has to end at some point.
Yep.
It has to end at some point. And then a bike, what is a bike? When you do buy a bike nowadays or any exercise equipment, how long does it take before it becomes a clothes rack?
I mean, look, let's be honest. If everybody's being honest, there's no way it lasts more than a month before that thing is a fancy, like clothes rack, a hanger, a place you toss your stuff. They've existed forever. Dude, no one's doing it. And I don't care what fancy person is on. Like, and by the way, that little screen that's 4 inches big, they act like, oh, it's like in-person training. I'm like, no, there's a big difference there. So you're right, Kenny. Like, even the company itself, just the idea of it was garbage. It just wasn't reality, right? It just wasn't. And that was something that made me feel really confident, even after it had fallen, 83% in 12 months. I was like, yeah, you could keep shorting this for that reason. But wait, I want to move on because we owe people some stocks, right? So we say you're going to give two, I'm going to give two. And I'll tell you what, I'll even pull up a chart if you want me to, Kenny, but I'll let you start it off. What do you got? What's your pick for the next couple
Man,
months?
the first stock would be UAVS. I'm gonna say it one more time: UAVS, Ad Eagle. Um, the reason why I'm telling everybody to look at the stock, look into it, is a simple fact that at some point earlier last week it was at $3.15. I had spoken to multiple people to pick it up. Now it touched Monday. It touched like $8. The reason why I'm saying that, actually, I got a chance to sit down with the CEO of Ad Eagle and spoke to him about his plans for 2025. I'm telling you right now, don't be surprised if this stock's at $25. Just
So
on the
what do they do?
information and the sit down. So they're a drone company for military contracts. And right now they already have a big, huge contract with the French. So, and they have other contracts, and they're working on major contracts with different countries. They already have over 30 contracts with 30 different countries. You know what I mean? And they're working on different revenue streams. And they
All
work with
right.
agriculture. They work with oil and gas industries and well pumps and stuff like that. They're actually doing things that are scaling fast. And they got this new CEO. The CEO's been there for about almost a year, and they're really out there marketing themselves and pushing themselves with the limited resources they have. Um, Going from $3 to almost $8 is pretty good. I think it's at $6.12 now. I don't be
I was just
surprised.
looking.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be surprised if in the next 3 to 6 months you start seeing it at like 15, 17, $18. And I'm telling you guys right now, this is the stock. This is a stock where you can accumulate a little by little. And I'm not saying go ahead and put $1,000 or $2,000 in there. I'm saying like go ahead and put three, four, $500. Like let that money double and see what happens.
Right. Well, is this are they is this have options? Is it optionable? They have derivatives on that?
Yeah, they have derivatives on it.
Okay. Cool. I mean, that's another way you could do it really cheap. That's why I asked. If you're just looking to put some money after it, it's like so you're not putting a lot of your money after it. Options are always an easy way to go. That's why I asked.
Yeah, so sitting down with the CEO and people that's wondering, like, oh, that conversation, that 40-minute conversations on Marathon Money Plus, is actually for free. All you have to do is go to the website and check it out. But what he has to say is he has a legitimate, viable plan, and then by middle of next year, 2025, then what you will see in the interview, um the revenue stream and the cash flow they're prepared to have come in, and that's a huge jump for a company like that, where they're in the military contract base and they're open to other revenue sources. So go check that out. I promise you the wealth of information that he got coming, the plan they have for next year is solid, and it's better than reading it on a 10K.
Oh, 100%. So I just put up the QR code to head over to Marathon Money Plus UAVS. It's scrolling at the bottom of the stream. That is what Kenny's telling you to get after. I took a look at it, Kenny. The only thing I can say about it, because I haven't watched your interview with him yet, was I look for stocks that have a little more volume, and this one just doesn't have that much volume yet. So I look for institutional buying, and I just don't see it in there yet. So for me, this is something I go, I don't know, but I like the approach. I can see where you're coming from. You talk to the CEO, that makes a big difference. I'm sure all of that's public information, but still, when you listen to someone firsthand and you get a feel for who they are, I'm into it. I'm into it. I will check that out myself. UAVS, everybody. There it is. There is the QR code to go and check out the Marathon Money podcast with the CEO of UAVS. I'll pull that back down, but so that everybody can see it. There it is. All right. So good. There we go. Let me tell you what I'm thinking, Kenny. So here's what I'm thinking right now. Oh, wait. I don't want that back up. Let's just leave us there. There we go. So here's what I'm thinking. There's something been going on. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody in crypto is talking about it. We're talking about Bitcoin. We're talking about Michael Saylor, and we're talking about MicroStrategy. So I'm going to go a different way than you, Kenny. I'm still talking about making money in the next 2 to 3 months. And in fact, I'm talking about making 25%, 20%, and that is shorting MicroStrategy. And I'll tell you why. There's 2 reasons why I think you should be shorting MicroStrategy. I think that MicroStrategy has most likely made a top. I really believe that. And I'll tell you why I think that you should be shorting MicroStrategy right now. It's real simple. It is the oldest. It's a Ponzi scheme in a sense. And also it is also the way markets just move. So all MicroStrategy is, all MSTR is, it's a company that effectively buys Bitcoin, and as the price of Bitcoin rises, the price of that company rises. They sell off shares of the company, they sell off shares of MSTR, and they buy more Bitcoin. So effectively what's happening is artificial demand is created through MicroStrategy. Because as Bitcoin rises, they sell MicroStrategy to buy more Bitcoin. But right now, the amount of Bitcoin they own versus the price of the company is outrageous. So I've had a lot of guys talk about the fact that it hit, I forget, 508, I think is where it got to. And that's like, I mean, it went from 130 3 months ago to over 500. So by no means is it a mistake if you were long MicroStrategy. And I never have said up to this point to get short MicroStrategy. But right now, I'm telling you to get short. There is volume stepping in, there is cash flow, and I don't believe anybody of intelligence is buying something that's up 400 and 500% in the last 2 months. I just don't believe it. So right now, one of my big ones is MicroStrategy, and it's to get short, and that's why. What say you, Kenny? What do you think?
I'm gonna have to go opposite of that.
I love it.
Like I just don't think, just to look at MicroStrategies and to look at the stock, um it's I don't like going against the grain.
Right. Listen,
And
I agree with that statement. Don't go against it. Don't get in the way of the bull. Don't catch falling knives. In this case, I'm doing it. I'm going against it.
here's a reason why I wouldn't go against it. I'm looking at the chart.
Wait, you want me to
Right
pull it
now,
up?
yeah, pull it up. I'm looking at the chart right now. It's like 409, right? 409, 490. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at this. Um, it's right now, like, I already see, according to the support, the demand got eaten up around 351 back in Tuesday, 26 November 24th. That the lowest point of that was 338, and now it's back at 409. um I see it going and retracing back up to 480.
I
um
think that's very possible. I
I
mean, I
see it
was telling everybody get short around 475. I think that's very possible.
I think it's retracing back to 480. I'd probably start shorting there if anything, but right now at 408, I wouldn't short anything unless you see a break past 350. I'll even say, if you want to take a chance, see a break past 370. Um, but I just don't see it happening, because what I'm seeing right here is the beginning of a bull flag. That's what I'm seeing. And now that's on the daily chart. And I'm also, if you look at the weekly chart, demand is just eating up the weekly chart. It's like every time it gets anywhere near 330 and 380, it's people are just buying it like crazy. They're not
Right.
even letting it sit in the 300s.
I think what the buying that you're looking at there is retail. I also think that it is because Sailor continually sells and buys more. I think, if like, to give a short term, what happens is, as soon as it breaks 345, you're guaranteed to go to 260 almost immediately. But I'm totally comfortable. So I'm very comfortable being short here, because on top of me, maybe I can be wrong by $100. So maybe I can be wrong by 25%, but I scale in and out of position. So I won't be fully scaled into this right now until it hits about 460. So if it reverses before that, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. So I won't be fully short till 460. Once it breaks 345, I would say 260 is a guarantee. But once it gets to 260, your next stop will be on this. It'll be about 200. And I see 200 below us inside the next 12 months. Given how this thing moves, it could be a heck of a lot faster than that. I pulled up the chart so everybody could see what we were talking about. Wait, is my screen? Are we frozen? Kenny, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, was I
Perfect.
frozen?
Yeah, you were frozen.
Okay.
But
I pulled the chart up so you could see it. So that's what I'm looking at. That's what I see. I think you have 50% from right here where you sit. I think there's potential that it does go to 480, even 500, but I'm okay with that. To have a potential, for me, that would probably end up being a loss of 10%. I never own more than 10% of one position in my portfolio. So for me to lose that, that's losing 1% my overall portfolio. And on the downside, I see a 50% move from here. If it runs up to 500, it's going to be more like a 65% move to the downward direction, which is even better for me. So that's my first one, Kenny, and that's why. So I think not only on a fundamental basis, not only what the company does, but also you see the setup very differently than I do on MicroStrategy. But that's obviously why there's a buy and sell side to every single position, right?
Yeah, there is, and then right now, like you know, I feel like it's in that on the daily chart is in that support range. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But like I'm looking at demand down here and demand down here at like $38, $338. It's just I got to see it break past that.
I look.
You know what I
I
mean?
I don't. I think I've watched these setups before. For me, this is something I'll take. My biggest loss on my overall portfolio, because I wouldn't take more than 10% position in this. The biggest loss I can take is 1%.
Yeah.
And to the upside, I can make 4. It's a 4-to-1. I'm in.
Yeah,
For
but
me, it's like
I'm speaking to like the like the everyday investors who can't get in. And the opportunity, maybe you can't short, but the opportunity for you was if it does break down 330, if you can spare to buy 1 or 2 shares, you probably can. It probably plateau around 260. That's if it breaks down 338.
right.
You got to
If
break
it breaks
break
down, once
338.
it once it breaks down to 260,
Yeah,
I myself would let it ride to 200, and then I'd be a buyer all day, because I'm
yeah.
one of those people. I'm a believer in what Bitcoin's doing. I'm a believer in what crypto's doing, and I like it. But also, there's so much shenanigans going over in that part of the world that even the fact that this company exists is sort of shenanigans if you understand what the company's doing. It's like they don't produce anything, they don't make anything, they don't do anything. They buy an asset. That's what they do. They buy an asset, and when that asset's price goes up, they sell some of the shares of their own company to buy more of that asset. It's like it even blows my mind that they exist. But look, that
It's hard to say because like they're making so much money
well,
on the return of Bitcoin right now.
but that look, they are almost it. If I were going to compare this to anything, it would almost be like if you had a company like Apple. Let's just say that the iPhone was the number one phone in the world, like bar none, like Bitcoin is over in that world. It's the number one, and it's not even really currency, but we'll just skip that. Bitcoin is the number one thing over there. It's the number one asset. It's the number one product over there. It'd be like if the iPhone was the number one phone in the world, like bar none, it's what everyone talks about. And then Apple said, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to buy iPhones. And then as that price appreciates from our purchases, so we're going to buy it. We're creating demand by buying these iPhones. So we're bidding it up ourselves. And then retail jumps in and further bids it up because they want the iPhones too. As that price rises, then we're going to sell AAPL into the open market, which will raise more cash so we can further bid up the iPhone. And then as the price gets higher, we're going to sell more AAPL, more Apple, and then we're going to buy more iPhones. So they're bidding it up. It's almost, if you think about it, I don't like the word Ponzi scheme, but if you think about a corporate buyback program, they're effectively, that's what they're doing. It's a long-term corporate buyback program that diminishes the company's stock, which they can always just reissue. So it doesn't really diminish. They can just reissue. And then once they reissue, they can keep bidding it up. But here's the problem. If it worked, if Michael Saylor worked, and this, I had a great conversation with Hans Albrecht of Crush the Premium, a big derivatives trader, ran over $1 billion. Imagine that this thing works that Michael Saylor's doing. What happens if Bitcoin is worth $30 million a coin? What happens to Bitcoin then? It's so this all works out. The plan works, and Bitcoin's now worth $30 million. What does that mean? What happens? What's Bitcoin? What do you do?
There's not really much you can do. It's Bitcoin is only really a safe haven. It's like a gold standard of the digital. currency.
You would make it worthless.
Yeah,
You would, if you got
it's
Bitcoin
really
to
not
30
much to
million,
do.
it's worthless.
Yeah,
It's the same thing if you go over to some of those countries in Africa. I can't remember. There's like a big one where like a loaf of bread ended up being $10 million. So what they did effectively was they made their currency worthless. I don't think people realize all the scheming and scamming that's going on over there. You could look down and on paper go, I am worth $4 billion. And then you go, okay, go buy something. And with
yeah.
what?
If there's nothing to buy, that's what I'm saying. Is there's nothing to do. There's like you just have a whole bunch of worthless coin.
Stuff.
It's supposed to be like a safe haven, but it's not. There's so much. The reason why circulation will never get past $21 million is because that's all they made and that's all they minted, and that
Well,
alone drives priced up. And that's why like there's also a reason, and like one of my biggest trading strategy is shares outstanding. Shares outstanding and circulation supply means the world.
100. I agree.
You people don't understand when people tell me, for example, and I'll say this, for example, like Ripple or like Dogecoin. Oh, Dogecoin is going to like $5. It's like that would make it the richest entity in the galaxy. Like you don't understand. Dogecoin has over 2 trillion supply.
Yep.
To go to $5 from less than a penny would $1 would make it 2 trillion. $2,
Right.
it will just be astronomical. It's just not happening.
Right.
And I try to explain that to people. And like that's what I'm saying. Dogecoin is worthless. So like to buy, if you want to buy something for $1, you have to spend like almost 1 million Dogecoins.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, the crazy thing, so Dogecoin is like the opposite of Bitcoin. So Dogecoin, the reason it can't get to the numbers that people are talking about is because you don't what that would actually make it worth is outrageous. Like the size and scope of what Dogecoin would be is outrageous. Bitcoin is the opposite. You would make it each coin worth so much that it's now actually worthless. It would be it's like what happened to the US dollar. We created inflation by pushing 50% more currency into the market in 2021. And look what we did to inflation. We made housing go up 40%. We made gasoline double. I mean, we basically doubled everything. Well, just imagine what a Bitcoin worth $1 million really does. I mean, and that's just a million. You got guys out there going, "Oh, it's going to 15 million." Yeah, well, you now created junk. Now it is worthless. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to cash in all that Bitcoin for dollars? That will immediately be halted immediately. And then what happens once you halt it? Well, now no one's going to buy Bitcoin. So now what happens to Bitcoin? Well, with all the machine trading, I can tell you, you're going to start bidding it down. Well, when does it stop? Oh, well, when you can buy more US dollars with it. But if momentum takes over, you're never going to be able to buy more US dollars with it because the way that thing moves, it'll be down 90% in a week.
Yep.
So that anyway,
You
look,
might wake up and it's down 20%.
right. I mean, that happened on August 5th. It
Yeah.
happened. It happened not 2 months ago that you woke up and Bitcoin was down 20%. It gapped down 20% overnight. And so that is why I agree with what you're saying, Kenny. And a normal company on a normal stock market, I would never jump in front of MicroStrategy. Absolutely never. Given what it is and where it plays, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. It's going to pay off. It's going to pay because what's going on is just not going to work. It's not going to work. But we'll see. Look, we'll see. So let's get on. So you have another pick. You have
Yeah,
another
one
pick.
more. If you could pull up the chart, it's LGMK.
Okay. LGMK. Let's do it.
Now,
Oh, there's MicroStrategy.
yeah, so LGMK. Now you're gonna look at this chart and you're gonna be like, yo, what the hell? Like you're gonna
Right.
be like, this looks horrible. This is bad. I'm telling you this right now. You see it at $1.78.
Yep.
This company did year-over-year growth in income. I spoke with the CEO. That interview's on on Marathon Money Plus, but this company done year-over-year growth in income. They have finished products that are going out. They have a subscription model for life safety medical devices for elderly individual with the
I saw this. I watched this podcast, yours, Kenny.
yeah. So, and I'm telling you right now, don't let the stock price fool you. This company will be at 10, 15, $20 in sometime next year because they're actually making money, and they're going to start making money hand over fist with their subscription model coming. Their subscription model is already out, and people are buying this for their mom and dad. They're buying this for their grandma. It's a life safety device. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be worth every penny that you put into it. It's one of those companies that are you're gonna look back and you're gonna say, "Hey, I should have bought this at a dollar something." They're actually making money, and a lot of people don't look. I know a lot of people don't read 10Ks, don't read 8Ks, don't read quarterlies. You know what I mean? 10Qs, whatever. But listening to her, go out and watch the video. Trust me, they already have finished products. They got products already out there. They already have test groups. They're well, I think 1,100 units already sold for this product already.
Wow.
And each unit has a $59 subscription to it. The tiers are like, I think it's 60, 39, 24, and then there's a $9 subscription. And all this is about, it's like Life Alert. You know what I
I
mean?
saw it.
And
It's like the I fall. If any of you old,
yeah,
all you
yeah,
boomers out there, I fall and
yeah,
I can't get up. It different, but the same.
yeah. And so they have a subscription model. And I'm telling you right now, they're already working on getting it with insurance companies. They're already working on they already have a community of hospitals they can push this out through. This company is with their subscription model, and plus with their insurance they're trying to push it out to, that this is going to explode. Because the moment you can get stuff into the insurance's hands and they're saying that you have to get this and the insurance company's paying for it, the moment the doctors are pushing it, that's when stuff like this explodes.
100%. Let me ask you, Kenny, how many? I actually like this. I saw her talk. I like the CEO a lot. And I was listening to the story, and all I kept remembering is, I've fallen and I can't get up. And I just remembered all those commercials. I was laughing. Like, dude, look, all I was doing was laughing as I was watching. But I was also thinking, because I don't think any of that Life Alert, is there any of that? Is that happening? Like, do they have a lot of competition, or are they stepping back
They're,
into a field that kind of been abandoned?
I think I think they're going in the right direction because in 2030, about almost 30% of Americans will be 65 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And by between 70 and 87, majority of Americans in that age range are either living alone or in the facility. And a good about 75% of them don't want to go to a facility.
Right.
So a lot of them are going to, this company is going to be in a prime position. And the pandemic helped them a lot realize that this company is going to be in a prime position to take advantage of that in the next 2 years. Right now, I think by first quarter, don't be surprised if you see at $3 or $4 in the first quarter of next year. Don't They're already making year over year growth. I'm pretty sure more institutional investors are going to start stepping in. And by the end of next year, I wouldn't be surprised if you see this thing at $20 because
That's
they're actually making money. They're making money. Quarter three of 2024, they're made year over year growth. They're making tremendous amount of money now. They're probably gonna make money quarter four, end of quarter four, and don't be surprised if they start making more money. They're right now, when a company is only focusing on marketing, that means their product is already on the shelf and ready to go. They
yep.
sold 1,100 units. Their 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 debt is decreasing, and they have a business model where it keeps everybody coming in, and it keeps
I
money,
think the
getting the
business
revenue
model.
coming in.
I look in this one. I'm not going to disagree with you that it's a great company, and it looks like they really do have. They are in a good position. They are. I'm just. I'll say this: when I think about those the life saving stuff, like the I fall and I can't get up, which makes me laugh. I remember like watching that stuff, and I thought, wow, that's really critical, right? And as the age in the US, it like so look, let's face it, the boomer market, the retiree market, it's monstrous compared to the rest of the age groups. And I live on a golf course that's like filled with retirees. I can tell you, and I hate to say this, I've been talking about this a lot. I'm going to talk about it a bit more, like not in the frame of reference of stocks, but this older generation, they were the hippies from the 70s. They're the ones that created tech. It's possibly the most selfish generation we've ever seen in our lives. They own 3 and 4 homes. They're watching their kids raise their families in apartments, trying to figure out how to make money. And I'll tell you something, when they get old, I don't see their kids being there for them. So it makes me go, when you bring up a company like this, I go, they're going to need that. I don't think your kids
Like
are going to be
you
there for
don't
you.
understand how accurate that is. So and I'll give a brief thing, and it's this company did it more towards women. So I got invited to sit down at an investor conference, and this company comes up and pitch. They start off saying we want to build more nursing home. I said, we all said okay. We like you're going into a saturated market. A saturated market, that's good. Once you get people in it, you're solid. I mean, you start a nursing home, you can get about like 50, 75 people to stay there, then you're
You're
kind of
making
good.
it. Right.
You're making it. So, but to get in and get all the licensing and stuff, and then the niche that they're going for is basically what you're talking about. But they have two niches. They're going on the kids that their parents were not really there for them. So as you've seen in social media and as you've seen it throughout life, you'll notice most kids don't even pay attention to their parents.
Well, look,
Like,
I don't care about social media because I don't believe this is crazy, but
yeah,
I mean what I'm about to say. I don't trust what I see on these phones. I don't trust what I see on these computers, but I trust my eyes. And let me tell you something. Yesterday was Thanksgiving, right? Now my family is gone, and my wife's family's passed away. We have a niece that is across the country, so it just we're not with our families because of these reasons. But I can tell you this: there were more senior citizens out here golfing, down at the grocery store, running around. They weren't with their families. They weren't with their kids. And I got to tell you, they're all laughs and smiles on their golf carts, and it's because they don't care. I like look that whole free love, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like we don't believe in religion, blah blah blah. I can tell you with my eyes what it bred, what it led to. They are selfish. I was a financial advisor for 20 years. I can't tell you how many times I heard in a given day, look, I'm living my life. They'll get what's left. I worked for my money. I did this. I did that. No, they didn't give one shit about those kids. And let me tell you something, it's going to come around. It's going to come around. So this device, that's why when you brought it up, and that's what made me so interested in the interview. I go, she's on to something because I'm telling you that these kids are not going to be here for these parents. I mean, I can't, like, to me, if I had a family,
and not only that, a lot of these baby boomers, they had kids late. Like some of them would have, if you look at the spread of kids they had like the big ones had like 4 or 5 or 6 kids. So some of them would be born at the early of their life, and a lot of them would be born after they made it. So
right.
I remember working with a lot of baby boomers, and it was like, yeah, I had like 2 kids before I was 30. That was great. But then I had like 2 more kids at like after like 38. And they don't really care about the 2 kids they had at like 38, 39, 40. The other 2 kids they had in their 20s, they care about more because they pretty much raised together, and those kids are gone. They're up. They made through a struggle.
Yeah.
But the one thing I notice is that majority of them don't want to take care of them anyways, because first of all, they're struggling in their own lives, and they're watching their parents fly all over the world like that. I'm not saying their parents shouldn't. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm not saying that they shouldn't enjoy the fruit of their labors and
I'll
the
say
hard
they
work that they
shouldn't.
did.
I'll say they shouldn't. Dude, you had kids, man. Your parents helped you. People looked out for you. Why do you own three goddamn look, I'm just telling you, why do you own three homes? Like all of these people here that stay here because I'm out towards Palm Springs, they're all coming from Colorado. And I'm not talking about the cheap spots in Colorado. They're all coming out of Colorado, Montana, and they're flying all. I look, if you had kids, and I know people on their own that are living in these little apartments, they're raising these kids in them. Yes, you should be helping them. Just like when you get old and decrepit and you're not worth anything anymore, you're going to be whining because they don't show up to the nursing home to see you. And you're going to be right too. My opinion on like the world today in general is we've all gotten too selfish. Everything, it's like it's my journey,
Yeah.
it's my life, it's my mission. Look, you can live that way, but I hope you like living alone.
Don't I like stuff like this is going to work for the simple fact that we're in a generation that there's other, mind you, I'm bringing up other products they have, but we're living in a generation where everybody's kind of forced to be by themselves because we're selfish. We're
Yeah, you
generally
don't have
selfish,
to be by yourself.
and you don't have to be, but we don't know how to, number one, we don't know how to compromise. We don't know how to see and do what the other person needs without having some direct benefit to us. We live in a
It's
society
sad.
is
Yep.
what is it in for me? And even when you do something for somebody, the other person might not see it. So like this stock is going to be perfect because we're entering a world that
I'm with
people's
you.
going to people's going to need that assistance, and we're
I'm
and there's plenty with the boomers coming along and turning 65, 70, 75. All this stuff is going to be needed. All this
so
stuff is going to be needed.
we agree. We have not agreed on anything yet, except this. I think, I think that I really truly believe that a product like this will do well, and I believe a company like this will do well. And I saw your podcast with the CEO, and I think that she will do well. So this looks good to me. So I'll give you my last pick. Now, let me ask you, Kenny. I'm going to let you pick. There's one that I would say is a steady Eddie. It's going to be based on kind of the macro condition of the world right now. And then I have one that's based on something, I wouldn't call it a technology, but it's not something that's been used before that I fully believe in. And I think this is something that over the next 5 to 10 years, you're looking at 10,000, 20,000%. Which one do you want?
Let's hear the 10,000, 20,000%.
All right, I'm going to
Let's hear
pull it
that
up.
one.
I'm going to pull it up. You
Let's hear
ready?
that one. Yeah.
All right. So here is the 10 to 20,000%. And I really mean this. MNMD. MNMD. So, mind medicine. Why am I saying mind medicine? Well, what this company does is it's based on psilocybin. It's based on magic mushrooms, if you want to think of it in that term. I'm pulling up the chart for everybody, Kenny. Now, these are things I look for when I'm looking at a newer company and I'm going to call this a technology, although I realize it's not technology. I'm going to call this technology anyway. What I look for when I'm looking for something to buy is I'm looking for things that have volume. What I want to see is I want to see that the institutional world, that the big money world is already interested in what's going on, because without their interest, things can take forever or maybe never. I don't know. Not only do I believe in this technology, I'll pull the chart down. You can see here's a volume day right here that has 49 million shares traded of a stock that was trading at $10. That is a $500 million day. Is this like for some large cap stock? Is that anything? No. But for a technology that technically probably isn't really truly legal yet, and it's something that's trading at $8 at the moment when it was sitting at $10, is that a big deal? I would personally say that is a very big deal. Okay, I think I froze a little bit. I think that's a very big deal. I think when you see $500 million traded in a single day, that can only come from a desk somewhere. or a hedge fund somewhere or some very large investor somewhere, that thing has gone from 3 to 10 in the last 3 months, and now volume has kicked in, and it's kicked in a big way. I personally believe in magic mushrooms. I'll share something with you. I have a friend, a very good friend, who's a barber now, who, he would drink every day, just because, like, emotionally, hard life growing up, that sort of thing. And so he would drink every day, and all of a sudden, he just started microdosing a little bit at night. And you know what? He doesn't drink anymore, and he hasn't in years. And I had the same problem. I've been in finance my whole life. You got to take off the edge at the end of the day. It's hard trading. Money's hard, and it's all up here, and everything gets stuck up here. And I don't microdose anymore, but I did. And what microdosing helped me do was it also helped me quit drinking. I don't drink, I don't do anything anymore, and I haven't for a couple of years. And that was a big reason why I believe in that product. I also know a lot of guys that are using ketamine at the moment. This is a way to get away from these pharmaceutical companies, get away from big healthcare. I think everyone at this point knows that big healthcare is not out for you anymore. They're not looking out for you anymore, and there's a reason for that. They're just too big. Do I think they're the evil empire that they're made out to be on social media? No, not exactly. I don't. But I do think this. They are now publicly traded companies that have to mind the profit first. Profit and share price comes first, not your health. They've turned on us. So what happens now is everything's an equation. And vaccines are the greatest profit center ever. Why? Because they can't be sued. They can't be held liable for anything it does to you. It doesn't matter if you grow a fourth arm and your head falls off. And they see that in trials. Everybody sees, if it happened in the streets tomorrow, no one can be sued. They love vaccines, and they've proven that, and it's because they can't be sued. But even beyond that, if you just think about the medications they're prescribing you, here's the deal. You're an equation. We sell this medication for this much. We sell this much of that medication. Every life can sue us for this much, and this is how many deaths we have. If at the end, the number of deaths makes them profitable, which will lift share prices, they don't care that you're dying, and they don't need to tell you. I mean, they'll tell you, it'll just sound like this. And then your head falls off, and then you lose your arms, you go blind, you can't see shit, your kids won't ever be born. Consult your doctor. It's like, what the fuck? And then you say, hey, what's that medication do? And they're like, oh, it helps you grow more hair. And you go, did they say I could die? They're like, don't worry about that. You don't want male pattern baldness, do you? So that's why I love MNMD. So MNMD, I love not for just what it does, not for who the company is, but also for the setup. And I'm telling you right now, I'm buying that, and I will be holding that. I am 45 now. I'm a fossil, right? I'm a fossil compared to you young guys. But I'll be holding that until I'm 65. And you watch, it's at $8 now. That thing, you can forget 80. 80's easy. 80's easy. This is going to be big. The current healthcare system it is not just in big trouble. It's fucked. Because something that I've known for the last decade has now become popular, which is you can't trust them, and you shouldn't take their stuff. And you shouldn't, you can't, and it's not their fault. I'm not demonizing CEOs. I'm not demonizing pharmaceutical reps. I'm not doing that. What I'm telling you is they're following the rules of the game. And the rules are this. They have to look out for their shareholders first, or they can go to jail. You have to understand that. They can have the best. Look, it doesn't matter what kind of person you are. The bottom line is that stock price has to go up, and you have to do everything in your power to make that happen. So that's what I say about MNMD.
No, I completely agree with you on this one. Everything's kind of changing in the medicine and the healthcare field. And I heard of Mind Medicine. I wouldn't be surprised if this stock blows up to be $250, $300. My question is, do they have a product already out?
Well, even that's why I said, even though it's not fully legal, yes and no, right? But also yes.
All right, I hear you, but I already like it. Shares outstanding 71 million. So like, definitely definitely can be very possible to hit $200 to $300 easily. That's a easy target for them. It's all going to come down, man, is how much of their product they're pushing and marketing. That's what it's going to
Well,
come down to.
I think what has to happen first. So I can tell you, like, do I think it can get to 50 without this happening? Yes. I'm talking about 10,000, 20,000%. So what would actually have to happen for that to happen? Well, first off, you'd have to legalize psilocybin. You don't necessarily have to legalize mushrooms themselves, right? Although I don't know how they're illegal. It grows out of the earth, for Christ. I don't understand how anybody can tell you it's illegal. It's the same kind of thing that happened with cannabis. How are you telling me I can't have this plant? Go fuck yourself. I'll have whatever plant I want, And those of you out west, you've been like that for a long time. And even in New York, I'm from Pennsylvania. I can tell you, I used to walk by the police station smoking when I was young. I didn't care. I mean, look, you're not going to tell me I can't have a plant. So you're going to feed me Adderall. You're going to feed me meth. And that's okay, but you can't have a plant. It's in my mind, it's crazy. I can't get on board with it. Alcohol is a deadly poison, and people are just pounding it all day, right? It's like this will turn you. Maybe it'll make you lazy, and you'll eat too many nachos, but you can't have that. It's like, you know what? I personally am one of those people. This is why I love Bitcoin. I love crypto. I want to see the power structure tumble, right? I do. And this healthcare, this phony healthcare, I want to see that tumble too. And big food, they're next. Something I have been talking about forever is starting to become popular as well. So anyway, look, you just learned a lot about me in about 5 minutes.
Man,
I usually keep those kind of things private. I don't because that's how I am. I don't think everybody needs to know what I think. But we're talking stocks. And so in this case, that's why I believe in this company. I do think it has to be legalized. It'll have to be legalized. And then once it's legalized, they're already front line. So what potentially could happen for them is that they could be the distributor of those that figure out a way to suck it out of the mushrooms or whatever it is. They could be like the large grow facilities, which are really the only, even cannabis now that it's basically legal everywhere. The only things that really lasted were the large grow facilities. All those small companies, they disappeared. Like nobody's on this bandwagon yet. And that's why I think that these are the guys, because the likelihood that this is not something that's adopted within the US, I think is slim to none. I think it's slim to none that this is not adopted. So
this is the
now
move. I'm definitely gonna be looking into it, and I'm probably gonna pick up shares myself. So
I love it. I think it is. I think it is.
Well, I think that's it, and that's all I have.
Listen, we hit an hour, Kenny. We covered
an hour.
We covered that we're against the government, big healthcare, big food, big everything. I'm kidding. Not against. You just have to be real about it, right? You have to be real about the world you live in.
100%. You do have to
you know
be
what I mean?
real about it.
So that's what I'm saying. You just have to understand. Like even the big food companies, not like these are demons running it, dude. They're literally just doing their job, feeding their families too. And the law says that they have to look after share price above and beyond your life. Now, if you're comfortable taking medicine from people like that, by all means, have at it. I'm not. I just think that there's too much in the way. There's too much there. But we covered MicroStrategy. Kenny's about it. I am not. I am definitely not about it. We are both about MNMD, and we're both about
LGMK.
Yep. So we're in complete agreement there. And so, wait, what was your other stock, Kenny?
UAVS.
Yes,
UAVS.
UAVS, the drone company. So we have UAVS with Kenny. It's not that I'm against it, but I don't like drone warfare, so I would never buy that company on principle. It kills people, innocent people that are just trying to eat dinner. I can't get down with it. So I can't,
understand.
But this is stocks, though. Kenny, this is stocks. I'm just saying I can't get down with it. I just can't. But I am definitely down with LGMK. So let's see what happens there. We'll see what happens with MNMD. You all be tripping, driving down the road. No, you won't. It's not supposed to be used like that. It's supposed to be a therapy that you're supposed to get off of, guys. That was the point of drugs, right? They're supposed to help you through a tough time, and then you get off of it. You go live like a normal person. And I think you have a better shot with that stuff. I don't think there's anything addicting to it, which is why I like it. And then what else? That's it. That's our stocks,
That's
baby.
it.
I think this was a great
That's
show
it.
today.
This was a
Any
great show.
closing comments, Kenny?
Nah, man. Check out Marathon Money Plus and
Let me get it up for
marathonmoneyplus.com.
you. There's the QR code, everybody. Marathon Money Plus. Get over there. Check it out. This is DerekInvests Market Mentality. I am PrometheanInvesting.com. I have some financial planning. I have a financial planning system. It's not a course. It's a system that'll take you from knowing nothing to being able to invest like a pro and doing that intelligently. Intelligently setting up your positions and then paying attention to the market. So I have a Black Friday discount going on right now, which is right there. Let me pull down this and then put that up. Black Friday 50, everybody. All caps, invest like a pro. That's the financial planning software. Kenny Coinz, Marathon Money. Always a pleasure. Always a ton of fun. And I think we're going to be doing this again this week. We maybe a couple times this week. So thank you, Kenny. I'll talk to you soon, bro. And we are out.